Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome here to race number 9 of the 2025 edition of the WRA Oreo Cup Series from the Pocono Raceway in Long Pond, Pennsylvania, getting set for today's running of the Great American Giveaway 400 presented by visitpa.com. Getting set for 50 laps of racing here today. These drivers cannot make it 50 laps on one tank of fuel. They can only go 40 laps. So these drivers are going to have to make a pit stop during the course of today's race. On the pole position is Senor Sean Art in the number 99 machine. Trackhouse is yet to find victory lane for the first time this season. Sean is 8th in the points table coming into this race. Alongside of him is B Paquette in the 54. 10th in the points table after a good run last week at Homestead. Ari Springer making her debut. She's one of the drivers that raced her way into today's race via the Go or Go Home session. And she is alongside of Courtney Lynn, who dropped 4 spots down to 9th in the standings. Courtney did not have a good race in yesterday's Red Bull GT Series race here at Pocono. As you look at the rest of the starting lineup, Eric Stanbury starting at the rear of the field. He's one of the drivers that fell outside the top 30 in the points and his win will not count for a spot in the playoffs if he stays there. Actually, he is inside the top 30 in points. I tell a lie because I have the standings in front of me. But he is only 6 points ahead of 30th in the standings. Another poor finish, then he'll be outside the top 30 in points. Anyway, the point standings coming into this race are as follows. The Crenshaw sisters lead the way. Annie Crenshaw over older sister Maddie by 4 points. Annie Crenshaw also the rookie points leader by 13 points over Nathan Fryman, who's third in the standings. Quentin Moore is up to 4th in the standings, 15 points back. D Ebrahimian, 24 points back in 5th. William Ayers is 6th in the standings, 27 points back. Skylar Taylor, our winner a couple of weeks ago, she fell down to 7th in the standings. Sean Art, our pollster, 8th. Courtney Lynn is 9th. And 10th is B Paquette. Is somebody out of line there in the background? Oh, we got to do... Hold on a second. Looks like there is no issues in the back this time around. The 41 we saw was smoking, so they had to wave off the start. And they will go ahead and let the 41 fix their damage and get rid of the black smoke before we go racing for 50 laps of racing. Number of drivers took part in yesterday's Red Bull GT Series race at this track, Pocono, which was a very, very good race we had. We had some cautions, but we had a nice little green flag run. Fuel mileage did not come into play that we thought was going to come into play in yesterday's race, rather. What kind of spectrum will we have here in today's GT series, or here in the Oreo Cup Series, excuse me? We'll have to wait and see. There is no Go or Go Home qualifying next week when we head to the when we head to Germany next week. I hope you guys are excited about the first ever German race for the Oreo Cup Series, because we've never gone to Europe in a long time. That'll be next week at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. But here we go. Green flag is in the air. We're underway here today at Pocono. And a problem already for William Ayers. We saw this last week at Homestead. William Ayers has got a problem. Like, he did not even get going. Right after they crossed the line, he's having troubles. Are we having another mechanical problem like what we had last week? Because Quentin Moore's going to go by him. That held up the points leader. Annie and Maddie Crenshaw, the two of them top 2 in the points. We saw that last week at Homestead. I don't know if the 9's got a mechanical problem or something. That's a tough break for William Ayers. All of a sudden, he was slowing down like he had a problem or something. Daniel Voiles raced his way in First lap is going to go to Senor Sean. Let's see what they can diagnose on the Napa Chevrolet of W Ayers. Hope it's not a mechanical problem, because that would be bad, especially on a track like Pocono. He does get credit. Let's see what the diagnosed is. They pulled the hood up, so it looks like it is something mechanical. Oh no, that's 2 weeks in a row we've had that. Last week it happened to S Askraov. This week it happens to W Ayers. And I'd be concerned if I'm the Chevrolets seeing that. Especially if you're Hendrick Motorsports, seeing your teammates got a problem. I was going to see if the 9 has returned to the track. Or if they pushed it behind the wall. Yep, he's back out on the track, so let's see if the problem is fixed or not. Oh, we got a wreck! We got a wreck! Big wreck! Big wreck! Ian Griffith's involved. Quentin Moore. Oh, this is a big one. The big one at Pocono. D Ebrahimian is involved. Well, so much for me to find out if there's something definitely wrong. The points leader, N Crenshaw's involved. Courtney Lynn. Kyler Anderson, Ari Springer. Caution is out. And W Ayers' bad day gets worse, as I believe he got caught up in this incident as well. Chase Brooks, a lot of damage to the Busch Light Chevrolet. And Jackie Tang did lead us back to our first caution of the race, but the points leader, Annie Crenshaw, was involved. Oh boy, I don't know if second in points was collected or not. Ian Dutta's involved. Jaleesi Accusement, Jesse Art. She's out of the race. Oh boy. Let's go back and see what happened to cause that big wreck down the Long Pond straightaways. We're in the early stages here at Pocono. Let's see if we can try to unravel this. Looks like they went nearly 4 wide. Bradley Ring was coming to the inside of Leo Hill. There's Jarrett Johnson and Ari Springer. And it looks like Jarrett Underhill was caught in a Chevrolet sandwich. There was just no room to give, and he turns the 78 right in front of Ari Springer, who had absolutely nowhere to go in this wreck. I believe Courtney Lynn's going to get a piece of whoever's going to hit her. Maybe this should give us a tail. There's Courtney Lynn. Looks like Chase Brooks the one that hit Courtney Lynn. Look at everybody scattered. Josh Harmon, Gacha Racing got a piece of it in the 81. There's where the 71, Marinelli Dillion, Ian Dutta. Bam! That's where Ian Griffith hits the Advent Health, or the Focus Health Chevrolet. Quentin Moore got a piece. There's Jesse Art. And then W Ayers gets into the Nilla Chevrolet. So looks like his bad day just got worse. Cody Smart did a good job to avoid it. Someone spun Kyler Anderson around. It's like the 47 just shot into the guardrail. But someone spun the 51 of Kyler Anderson. I couldn't figure out who. Maybe this should tell us the tale. Or I think he hit Ian Dutta, and looks like Annika Ritchie did a good job missing the Walmart Ford Mustang Dark Horse. We are definitely going to have some drivers out of the race, and then I believe he's going to go into Ari Spring. No, he's not. Just going to nick the guardrail. There's Dylan Ebrahimian, and there's the points leader, Annie Crenshaw. Had a great day yesterday. Unfortunately, it looks like her day is going to come to an end. Remember, she came in this race as the points leader. The gal that was trying to run her down is her sister, Maddie Crenshaw. So we're going to have to see where this is going to situate some people. As the yellow's out for the first time today at Pocono, let's get to the restart. Getting ready to go back to green flag racing on lap number 8 of 50. Should give us 43, 42 laps of racing to go. William Ayers coming up the inside. He did get a piece of the incident and compounds his whatever the issue was wrong on that Napa Chevrolet, but he is off the lead lap. Jackie Ting is the leader. His teammates Daniel Witter and Brooke Paquette second and third. Pole sitter Sean Art in fourth. Zachary Fitzwater in fifth. Eric Sadler sixth. William Davis seventh. Eric Stanbury in eighth. That's a driver who really needs a good run to stay in the top 30 in the points. Last week's winner, baby CJ Bracken, is ninth, and K Wascher will complete your top 10. Drivers out, and there are a lot of them. Alexander Dawson blew up under the yellow, so we will not count him as one of the drivers involved. A piston let go on his Ally Chevrolet. That's a tough break for him. He joins these drivers that have gone back behind the wall and into the infield care center. Chase Brooks, Geisha Racing, tough break for him in his limited starts in the Oreo Cup Series. Reggie Fogelman didn't realize he was involved in that incident. He's out of the race along with Jaleesa Kisman. The points leader, N Crenshaw, 34th. Ouch. Ian Griffith, Quentin Moore, Dylan Ebrahimian, Ari Springer. Tough break for Ari in her debut. Will come home in 38th. Kyler Anderson, Marinelli, Dillion, Ian Dutta, and Jesse Art. All of those drivers have taken their cars back behind the wall after being involved in that big wreck. Do some math here in my head. 14 cars. That is a quarter of the field. That's excluding Alexander Dawson. That was involved in our first caution of the race. Green flag back in the air. Don't think William Ayers will be up to speed because remember, he has had whatever the issue was wrong on his car, and two, got involved in that most recent incident. So that's really going to hurt him in the points deal. And looking at the results, I noticed first, fourth, fifth, sixth were all involved in that incident. Well, yeah, we're all involved in that incident. And those drivers were running very well in the points, so they could not ill afford as William Ayers made contact with. I think that was with Maddie Crenshaw. Yeah, that's Maddie Crenshaw because her sister Annie Crenshaw is out of the race. What in the world is Bradley Ream doing on the aproners? He got a problem or something. Remy Crampton, I didn't realize she was involved. Annika Ritchie, I think that was because of the stack up. There's also damage to Courtney Lynn, so I bet she might have been involved in whatever the incident was. Probably that big wreck we had. Evan Marici, he's got no front end on his Menards Ford Mustang, but he was one of those other drivers that were involved in that big wreck on the Long Pond straightaway. Skylar Taylor also was collected in whatever the incident was. I think that was from that incident we had on the on the Long Pond straightaway rather. But she has continued on. At least she won't be mad at Josh Harmon. Let's get that right. It is a Joe Gibbs 1, 2, 3. Jackie Tang comes into this race, looking at the points here. A lot of drivers who came in running well in points really going to take a hit in the standings. Jackie Tang 22nd in the points. Brooke Paquette 10th in points. And like I said, with all those drivers ahead of her that were involved in that big wreck on the Long Pond straightaway, that's really going to make things interesting going into next week at Germany. That's going to be a wild card race, believe it or not, as there's Eric Sadler trying to get around Daniel Witter in the 20. Eric Sadler came in this race 38th in the points. He's still dead last of the drivers that are full-time. And with a lot of drivers ahead of him in points that have ran into trouble, this is exactly the run he needed. As Brooke Packett's going to go to the race lead on her teammate Jackie Tang. Remember, Jackie Tang got into the playoffs in that number 19, was eliminated from the playoffs in the Foster Series for driving that 19, as I mentioned. Brooke Paquette having a very solid run. A driver that, if she wins, she would be into the playoffs, providing she remains in the top 30 in the points table. I don't know if these drivers came to pit road on that first caution. If they did, they cannot make it the rest of the way. There's Shyla Askraov. Speaking of drivers who had mechanical problems last week, Shyla was one of those drivers, and of course she got caught up in somebody else's wreck. But unlike William Ayers, she did not continue the race at Homestead after she fell out of the race. Let me see, where is Shyla in points? She dropped 3 spots down to 11th in the points table, and like I said, with a lot of drivers ahead of her in the points that ran into trouble as Jackie Tang nearly got up into the wall. This could possibly help Shyla Askarov get back in the top 10 in the points leaving today. And I can tell you the points are going to be mighty shaken up in the process. I also noticed the guy that was trying to run down N Crenshaw, not just for the points lead, but for the rookie points lead. That would be N Fryman. He's running in the 5th position, former winner this season. N Fryman's been running well inside the top 10 of the points. He is currently one of the drivers that is still has a win that, as of now, would get him into this season's playoffs, providing he stays in the top 30 in the points table. And of course, with Reggie Fogelman's DNF, he came in this race only 5 points ahead of 30th in the standings. That will take him out of the top 30 in the standings. So Reggie Fogelman last week got himself back in the top 30 in points. This week, he's going to fall back out of the top 30 in points. And also, C.J. Bracken, with his win last week, also jumped up into the top 30 in the points table, and his win from last week at Homestead will count for a spot in the playoffs, providing he remains in the top 30 in the points. There's Eric Stanbury. Needs a good run. Really needs a good run. Eric is only a total of 6 points ahead of 30th in the standings. Jalecia Kiesman, by the way, came as race in that critical 30th position in the points. So Eric Stanbury needs a good run today to get himself back in the top 30, or keep himself in the top 30 in points, rather, to have his win still count for a spot into this season's Oreo Cup Series chase for the championship. And funny thing is, we had 2 early cautions, and the rest went clean and green in yesterday's Red Bull GT Series race. What are we going to see? Is that going to remain the same for today? We're going to have to wait and see. So we're down to 35 laps of racing to go. These drivers also have to start thinking about when they're going to come to pit road for their only pit stop of the race. Remember, they cannot make it 50 laps on one tank of fuel. The fuel window is between 34 to 39 laps. They can only go 40 laps on the tank of fuel. So that means they cannot make it 25 miles on one tank of fuel, because this is 125 miles if you're keeping track. Maybe CJ just got up in the wall coming out of the tunnel turn you just saw a second ago. The other thing for Eric Monaco, of course, he missed this week's race here at Pocono. Of course, he will miss next week's race in Germany because we're only going to have 37 drivers because we're going to have Liliana Beta race next week. And it looks like the 38's just going around the 54s. The 54 coming into pit road? Nope. I think the 38 had a good run on the high side as Eric Stanbury currently our race leader. N Fryman will now go to second. It was the first time Chevrolet went to victory lane. We've yet to have Toyota go to victory lane this season. Hopefully they can go to victory lane at some point in the season. Remember, there's going to be 16 drivers that will make it into the playoffs. As long as they have wins and stay inside the top 30 in the points to have their wins count for a playoff berth. Oh, somebody messaged me for a second on my phone, but they didn't. Okay. Going to be really exciting to see what kind of racing we'll have next week when we head to Germany, our second road course race here in the first half of the regular season. That'll be 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time next week for the Oreo Cup Series. Of course, we have Charlotte for the Red Bull GT Series. Nearing the halfway point of today's race here for the Oreo Cup Series. All those drivers involved, with the exception of Alexander Dawson, who's out of the race due to a mechanical failure, has been checked and released from the care center. Jackie Ting just got up in the wall in the 19. Oh, Betty Johnson's got a problem. See what happened to Betty Johnson. This was, by the way, on the restart. Something happened to the 50 of Betty Johnson. Not entirely sure what was wrong. Apparently, she came to pit road. And apparently, she had a problem. And looks like she came to pit road. And of course, she's still sitting on pit road, so we're not sure what is going on. Daniel Voyles has got the front end missing on his machine. Skylar Taylor, the last car on the lead lap. That's a tough break for Betty Johnson. Not entirely sure what is wrong with that Mobile One Toyota SXE from 2311 Racing, but that's not the finish Betty Johnson was hoping for. That's a tough break for Betty Johnson. And she'll hope to bounce back next week. A tough break for Betty Johnson, a Gorigal homer. Not going to be a good points day for her, even though she's not battling for the championship, to be honest with you. Also, Dina Voiles, who was actually tied with Betty Johnson, currently running in the 24th position. Of course, he would get more points than Betty Johnson, which would still help his points out. And like I said, even though those two are not battling for the championship full time, they're just out here to have a good time. And I think Daniel Voiles was involved in something that we didn't see. Wonder if he was involved in a stack up. There must have been a stack up. That's probably why there's damage on the 53, because there would be no other reason. There would be no other reason why Daniel Voiles has no front end on that Ford Mustang Dark Horse. He must have ran the back of somebody. Either that or we had a stack up under the yellow that we didn't see. Or he was in part of the wreck. Regardless, that's still a tough break for those drivers. If you look at the drivers that are currently out of the race, we're nearing the midway point of today's race. After today, we are past the 1/4 mark of the Oreo Cup Series season. We're going to be closer. We're getting closer and closer to being at the halfway point of the regular season. They're about to put Skylar Taylor, former winner of the season, one lap down. Skylar Taylor, our winner from Sonoma a couple of weeks ago. As Skylar's not going to give any issue to N Fryman and company, so she's just staying up high. Probably the smart thing to do is stay up high and not get in the way of the leaders. So Skylar has now gone one lap down as a result, running in the 25th position. Betty Johnson has climbed out of the car. So it looks like whatever the issue is on that car, it looks like they're not going to get it fixed, get her back out, which, to be honest with you, she's not even racing for points. So Betty Johnson's day is done. Tough break for her. We'll see her in a couple of weeks at Michigan. Or actually, no, it'll be Annie Thomas at Michigan. I believe Annie Thomas is going to do the last 3 races of the regular season as far as attempts are concerned for that Amerivet team. Oh, there goes the 41. Around goes the 41 of Eric Sadler. Oh, right in front of CJ Bracken. This is going to bring the caution out. Oh, no, Jackie Tang gets a piece. Oh, look out, look out, look out, look out, look out. Everybody scattering, trying to avoid, and the caution is out. That's a tough break for baby CJ and Eric Sadler. Whew. I think what happened was Eric Sadler carried a lot of speed going into turn number 2, the tunnel turn. He got up high, got up into the wall, and then got turned, and the rest was history. And looks like these drivers are going to definitely come to pit road to make it the rest of the way on fuel. So fuel will not be an issue as we're past the halfway point, but the yellow is out for the second time today. Let's see what happened to Eric Sadler in the 41. Well, Eric Sadler was definitely having a good run, but looks like his day is going to come to an end. Yeah, definitely carried way too much speed, got up in the marbles. When you get up in the marbles at Pocono, you have no grip. He goes up, gets the wall, comes down into Daniel Witter, and Zachary Fitzwater did get a piece of the United Rentals Ford Mustang Dark Horse, so Fitzy's going to have some damage. So not a good day if you're the homecoming drivers. And then Eric Sadler just slid right in front of baby CJ, who had nowhere to go. How did Chris Washer get through that? Wow. Skylar Taylor gets a piece of it. That's her second incident involved. And then Jackie Tang just took out the front end, and the black smoke erupted on the Bass Pro Shops Toyota SXE Camry. And there's baby CJ, 1 week removed from his first career Oreo Cup Series win. This week he is going to go behind the wall, and this may or may not take him out of the top 30 in the points, because he got himself in the top 30 in points. He might find himself out of the top 30 in points. Well, that's a tough break for him as the yellow's out for the second time today as we're past the halfway point. Let's get to the restart here at Pocono. Green flag going to come back in the air with about 20 laps of racing to go, and we are going to have ourselves a major mess up here. Eric Stanbury is the leader, and all these damaged cars stayed out because they're now on the tail end of the lead lap. Skylar Taylor is off the lead lap due to being involved. Eric Sadler, Jackie Tang, CJ Bracken have gone behind the wall. They join Alexander Dawson, Chase Brooks, Gacha Racing, also you can include Betty Johnson's also gone behind the wall despite her car still sitting on pit road. Reggie Volgeman, Jaleesa Kuzman, Annie Crenshaw, Ian Griffith, Quentin Moore, Dylan Ebrahimian, Ari Springer, Kyler Anderson, Marinelli Dillion, Ian Dudda, and Jesse Art, who have all gone behind the wall from our first caution of the event. Top 10 as we go back to green. Eric Stanbury, the leader. Brooke Paquette, second. Nathan Fryman, third. Sean Art, fourth. Shyla Askraov, fifth. Chris Washer, sixth. Seventh, Daniel Witter. Eighth, William Davis. Ninth, Zachary Fitzwater. Don't know how much damage this is going to put him off the pace. And Samanas can complete the top 10. Let's go through the rest of the field. We got Maddie Crenshaw, 11th. Cody Smart, 12th. Alina Ritchie, 13th. With Annika Ritchie, 14th. How she's still surviving, I do not know. Jared Johnson's 15th. 16th, Josh Harmon. 17th, Bradley Ream. 18th is Courtney Lynn. Remy Crampton is 19th. Betty Johnson's still sitting on pit road. Evan Marici is in 20th. 21st is Daniel Voiles. 22nd is Leo Hill. And then Skylar Taylor and William Ayers are all off the lead lap. 24 are still running. We're going to have a total of 22. Will be 19 when we go back to green. And I'm really scared about this restart coming up. Because we got, let's see, 5 damaged cars up here at the front, and this is not going to be fun. Green flag back in the air. Got to wait till we cross the start-finish line. There we go. Brooke Packett's going to try to take the lead while negotiating traffic. It's like Skylar's just trying to get out of the way. Eric Stanbury is going to keep the lead. Now he's going to work under Leo Hill, Daniel Voiles, and Evan Marici. All those cars that were badly, badly damaged. Remember, if you have damage, this is not good. Don't count out Nathan Fryman as he's in second as Evan Marici gets to the wall, and there goes Marici and the 38. Oh, they're wrecking in the back. Fryman's involved. Crampton spun around. Caution is no doubtably out. Alina Ritchie got a piece of it. And Daniel Voiles is going to get his lap back, but I don't think that's going to last for long. And leading us back for the third caution is Sean Art. Well, you knew that was going to be a mess sooner or later. Especially with all those damaged cars that were restarting in front of the leaders. You knew something was going to happen. Eric Stanbury, who led us back to green, got involved. That's a tough break for him. Austin's out for the third time today. Let's take a look at what happened. Well, you knew the 12 was off the pace. He carried so much speed. With all that damage, it's really not doing his aerodynamics any good, as I accidentally hit my elbow. And, of course, he comes off the wall and nowhere for Nathan Fryman to go. And Fryman was running in the top top 5. Bam, into the guardrail he goes. Same for Fryman. And then who spun out Remy Crampton? Looks like it might have been E Ricci. Or was it the 31? I think it was the 30. Oh, yeah, the 31 was in a sandwich. Annika actually spun her sister out. To be fair, they were too many cars in too small of a space, if you can ask me. And that's why the 11 got spun. That's how Courtney Lynn, did she get the wall there? Courtney Lynn, I didn't see the contact. Around with the 13 and the 20. Looks like Courtney Lynn, she didn't hit the wall. But around with the 11 and the 13 as a result of this. Remy Crampton, a go or go home driver, and there's E Ricci. Doesn't look like she has any more damage to the Sports Clips Toyota Camry SXC. Looks like she'll get 4 fresh tires and continue on. Caution's out for the 3rd time today. Let's get to the restart here at Pocono. We're going to have 15 laps of racing to go when we go back to green flag racing. Remy Crampton has called it a day. And she's finally taken that battered up 13 car back behind the wall. So she'll be off to the infield care center, and she'll join all those other drivers that have already gone behind the wall as a result of this. S Ard is the leader. William Davis now in 2nd. S Askraov in 3rd. Looks like these guys might have pitted again, just to be on the safe side. Fitzwater is 4th. 5th is Oskin. Washer, Smart, Brooke Paquette, Daniel Wooder, Bradley Ream completes the top 10. Good run for Bradley Ream. So we have 19 cars now on the lead lap. Well, it's going to be 18 once they all get around the damaged Daniel Voiles machine. And what we can describe as a, quote, wreck fest it's been. Of course, we already talked about our motorsports calendar. As we've already mentioned, next week we're heading to Charlotte and Germany. Hope you'll join us for those races coming up. Goodness me. You can definitely tell we've had a lot of, in the words of S Ard, carnage. And he loves carnage. And then every time 2 cars spin out, he would say his line, Spinala. Oh, I love when Sean touches the cars and says his line, time for me to wreck the field, which that's, by the way, the nickname I gave him on Discord. So he's using it to good force, I can tell you that for sure. Green flag back in the air with 15 laps of racing to go here at Pocono. That's a teensy tiny little field we have here. As William Davis going to try to take the lead from S Ard. And he will do so. So move the Bet MGM Chevy Camaro out of Richard Childress Racing now to the lead of the race. Haven't talked much about William Davis this season. Comes in his race 14th in the points. He's doing a lot better than Austin Dillon did in real life this past season, just saying. Or from last year, I say, in real life. William Davis is one of those drivers. A win for him would put him into the playoffs, providing he remains in the top 30 in the points. Oh, contact between him and S Ard. K Wascher, right now in 3rd. Cody Smart trying to go by Zachary Fitzwater for 4th. As we're getting closer to the end of this wreck fest of a race that was kind of what I didn't expect. As we're going to go inside the cockpit of the let's go on board Sean Ard because he's our Triple P expert panel. Let's take a inside ride with Sean Ard. Down into turn one, it's called Trenton Speedway, the 14-degree banking. And off of turn one, down the Long Pond straightaway, which we've seen a lot of incidents so far today. Heading into the tunnel turn number two. Turn two based off of Indianapolis, which we're actually going to be going to later on this season. It's actually one of our playoff races we're going to. Down the short chute, heading to the flat Milwaukee Mile, turn number three. And then down the front straightaway, and that's a lap around the Pocono Raceway with our favorite Triple V master, Senor Sean Ard. I bet you Sean's laughing right now because Jesse Art is, in the words of Cody Smart, the reverse winner. Which we still don't know why Jesse Art teleported to pit road after the checker flag wave last week. Unless she got caught up in that stack-up effect that happened, as you see the two Legacy Motor Club cars right together, the 42 and the 43. Of course, those cars are doing better than Fitzwater is 33rd in the points, but he's having a solid day today. Bradley Reim is 16th in the points. Yes, I know I don't have the R next to Bradley Reim's name, which was a mistake on my part. But I can't fix it because if I fix it, it's going to screw up the points. So I'm going to have to leave it as it is. But I already know Bradley Reim is a rookie. Since you can technically say this series is getting redone. As Danielle Witter, the Alabama driver, going to take the race lead. We're going to be going to her home race at Talladega later this season. It's actually going to be one of those tracks that it's going to be actually one of the, I think it's going to be in the second half of the regular season, if I recall correctly. Yeah, it is. So Danielle Witter will be having her homecoming in the second half of the regular season when we head to Talladega. Next week, as I said, we're heading to Europe. Looking forward to that as we're down to 10 laps of racing to go here at the Pocono Raceway. Great run for Danielle Witter. Danielle Witter comes this race 28th in the points. A win for her would get her in the playoffs, providing she remains in the top 30 in the points table. Couple of drivers who really have been struggling in the points, needing good runs, really getting good runs here in this race. Shyla Askraov, a much better result for her today versus last week. And she's the only Colic Racing car that is yet to have trouble today, unless I jinx her, which I know if I jinx her, I'm sorry. Of course, she'll forgive me because she is my driver after all. As Danielle Witter currently leads this race. Want to remind everybody this copyrighted broadcast is presented by the authority of the World Racing Association and the Blue Hedgehog TV. Any reproduction, rebroadcast, retransmission, or any other disseminations or the use of this broadcast without the express written consent of the World Racing Association and the Blue Hedgehog TV is strictly prohibited. Blue Hedgehog TV want to thank you fans for your continued support of the WRA Oreo Cup Series, and we hope you enjoyed today's Wreckfest of a broadcast race we are bringing to you today. We had Chevrolet go to victory lane and Eric Monaco. Of course, Monaco is going to fall outside the top 30 in points. Toyota went to victory lane with Skylar Taylor a couple of weeks ago at Sonoma. The rest of the wins have been the blue ovals. So Daniel Witter trying to become the second Toyota driver to go to victory lane and possibly lock herself a spot into this season's Oreo Cup Series chase for the championship, providing she remains in the top 30 in the points table. Of course, I know Daniel Witter because she is called Dot by most of us from Elijah's server. The only reason I'm keeping her in my series is because she's a great driver, and of course, she is the only driver from the state of Alabama. As Bradley Ream racing with Brooke Paquette. Of course, that's part of Bradley Ream's team, Brooke Paquette, racing her team owner, Bradley Ream. Brooke Paquette will definitely stay in the top 10 of the points. Bradley Ream may be inside the top 10 in points after today's race, providing he doesn't have any incidents between now and lap number 50. Eric Sadler, who finished 25th, did finish ahead of Ian Dutta in terms of who's going to be last place of the drivers that are full-time, even though Sadler is going to close the gap on Ian Dutta. Sadler is yet to lead a lap this season. The driver who's led the most laps so far this season is N Fryman at 72. That's out of the race distances we've ran this season, as somebody just got up in the wall. That must have been Bradley Ream. As we are coming to 4 laps of racing to go here at the Pocono Raceway. Daniel Witter would like to punch her ticket into the playoffs. Just noticed my Wi-Fi just went out, unless it's getting, quote, rebooted. I don't know why it did that. I do apologize. I will have to fix it when I'm off the air. Probably I'll do it after this race is done. Down to 3 laps of racing to go. Actually fix it now while I got the chance. Sorry, I was trying to fix my Wi-Fi. Hold on one second. Okay, not sure what's going on with the Wi-Fi. I think it's being stupid. I'll have to fix it when I'm done recording this race. But anyway, nothing has happened while I'm fixing my internet connection. I do apologize about that. There'll be 2 laps of racing to go here at Pocono. And of course my YouTube studios decided to be stupid. Let me reset my phone. Or reboot my phone. Easy for me to say. I don't know what's going on with my Wi-Fi, but I do apologize about that. It was fine, and then it decided to go off for some reason. I will have to fix it before too long. I had to reboot my phone. Unless we're resetting the Wi-Fi, I don't know. Anyway, white flags in the air. 1 more lap to go, sponsored by Credit One Bank. As Joe Gibbs Racing looking for their first win on the season. I don't know. I think the Wi-Fi is just acting up. I don't know why. Anyway, Danielle Witter looks like she's going to go on to win this race here at Pocono. It's going to be a big points day for her. Comes off 3 and 4 for her first career win. Danielle Witter is going to win the Great American Getaway 400 presented by VisitPA.com. And unofficially, we do not know if this is going to be confirmed or not, but has Danielle Witter locked herself a spot into this season's chase for the championship? Danielle Witter, 28th in the points. We'll see where this is going to situate her in the point standings, as the standings are now official. William Davis, Brooke Paquette, Sean Art, Cody Smart, Shyla Askraov, Maddie Crenshaw, Chris Wascher, Eric Stanbury, and Bradley Reim were your top 10 after this race. You look on down through the remainder of the finishing results, a lot of drivers going to take some hits in the standings. And I can tell you the points are going to be really shaken up after today's race heading into next week at Germany. As we only had 23 finish the race, 19 of them on the lead lap. Hope you guys enjoyed today's Wreck Fest. If you did, be sure to give this video a like, subscribe to become part of the Blue Hedgehog and WRA crew today. We've shown your full finish results. Your point standings are down in the description heading into next week's race at Germany. Until then, I've been D Ebrahimian R signing off. Goodbye from Pocono, as you've been watching another broadcast of PCS Rate TV and the WRA, the greatest racing since 2013, and 15 years as the best in a racing around the world since 2017.